COVID was one particular pandemic that nobody ever anticipated. At least we have not seen that kind of pandemic in our generation. So it was something that was unprecedented. And the entire healthcare system, which was present till then, had to be re-looked into in order to prevent something, in order to be a formidable force. If at all something like this were to reoccur, then I think this actually taught us quite a few lessons, especially on, especially moving on to the importance of preventive and curative care, and also making sure that the healthcare system is available to everybody, is accessible to everybody, and also making sure that it is affordable to everybody. So all these aspects were an eye-opener to all of us. And within the limits that we had, we did everything what a country could do or a state could do. We were more focusing on tracing, testing, and treating. Because, you know, we, from my state's perspective, we are short on tertiary care. Because tertiary care, we were a newly formed state, and we do not have a tier 1 city like Hyderabad or Bangalore or Chennai, where private investment is huge coming into in super specialty hospitals. So since we had that handicap with us, so we wanted to get into the early stage, detecting at the early stage. So we conducted almost 44 rounds of house-to-house survey. We had a robust system in place with a village secretariat at every village, a volunteer system for every 50 houses. We had 42,000 ASHA workers, also the volunteers dealing with health issues be present. And all these factors put together, we initiated this process of house-to-house survey. And in this close to 2 years of this pandemic, we've conducted almost 44 rounds of house-to-house surveys. So that was one of the primary reasons as to why we could cut the mortality rate. Even though the country's mortality rate was 1.21%, our state's mortality rate was the lowest in the country, 0.63%. So that's one of the primary reasons.
Quickly, coming to business, Telangana is the youngest state in India today. We were formed as a state in 2014 in June. It's been about 7 years and a few months. But I can share with a lot of pride, I can say this with a lot of happiness, that in fact we are one of the fastest growing states in the entire country. Today, not me as a minister of this state or this government, but the Reserve Bank of India has released a recent report about a week, 10 days ago, which has clearly stated that even though Telangana geographically is 11th largest in the country, even though population-wise we are the 12th largest in India, we are the 4th largest contributor to India's economy. That goes to show you the economic might of the state of Telangana. In fact, if you look at the population statistics, we are only 2.5% of Indian population, this state of Telangana. But we contribute to 5% of India's GDP. So that clearly tells you that this state believes in punching above its weight. And the reason why we continue to do well in the last 7 years and we continue to grow fast across all sectors is primarily because of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao, who continues to lead the state with a great deal of enthusiasm and supported and backed by progressive policies and efficient bureaucracy. Now, what do I mean by progressive policies? The first policy that we had legislated, that we had enacted, the first piece of legislation in the new state of Telangana was back in 2014 November. The legislation was called TS IPAS. TS IPAS literally stands for the Telangana State Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System. Let me just give you three salient features of the TS IPAS. Those mid-sized small French companies who are looking to enter into India but are unsure of what to experience or what to look out for. This is possibly the best policy support that you can get anywhere in India. The reason why I say this is because in Telangana, if you want to start the construction of a factory, you do not need to speak to us. You can certify yourself as being in compliance with the law of the land. This is a process called self-certification. If you have a piece of land already that you have procured privately, you can immediately on day one start construction and start your factory without having to speak to any of us. Simultaneously, we require that you submit an application on the TS IPAS portal. That's because we need to know for regulatory purposes who is doing business in our state. When we receive your application, we'll scrutinize it, and by statute, by legislation, we promise all clearances in 15 days. Well, you can obviously, say with a bit of a cynicism that, I've heard this before. I've heard it in many states, many countries. How's Telangana any different? How's your single window any different? We are different because if we don't deliver on the 15-day window, on the 16th day, it's a deemed approval. It's an automatic approval. You will not hear this in any state in India. And also, another very important thing, we believe that businesses and policies have to be process-driven, not person-driven.